Hey there, everyone. Welcome to the channel, or welcome back. It's fantastic to have you here. I'm Alex James, a clinical psychology doctoral intern, and today we're going to explore something incredibly valuable. Something that could truly change how you relate to the people around you and how you connect emotionally. Today, we're going to dive into a technique that can help you build stronger, more meaningful connections with others, whether they're family members, friends, or even someone you just met. This technique comes from a form of therapy known as radically open dialectical behavior therapy, RODBT. If you're already familiar with DBT, you might know that it focuses on emotional regulation, mindfulness, and learning to accept emotions, which are vital in managing life's difficulties. But RODBT takes it a step further, focusing on the challenges faced by people who tend to over-control their emotions. It's specifically designed to help people develop open and intimate relationships, which can often feel difficult when you're someone who struggles to let your guard down. The method I'll be sharing with you today is called Match+1. It might sound simple at first, but trust me, it's a subtle yet powerful approach that can truly help you build deeper emotional connections. I'm going to walk you through exactly how it works, give you some real-life examples to clarify how you can apply it, and offer practical tips that you can start using in your everyday life. By the end, you'll have a much clearer understanding of how this technique works and how to use it to evaluate and strengthen your relationships. Let's get started. Match+1 is essentially a strategy designed to help you gradually and safely build emotional intimacy with someone. The whole idea is to pace how much vulnerability you share with others, taking small steps and testing the waters to ensure that both you and the other person are comfortable. Here's how it works. When you meet someone new, or even when you're already in a relationship, you begin by sharing something small and non-threatening. You might start with an opinion, a neutral observation, or a minor personal experience that doesn't put you in a vulnerable position right away. You're not oversharing. You're simply testing to see how the other person responds. If their response mirrors yours, meaning they open up and share something similar, then you can take a step further into more vulnerable territory. But if their response is minimal, or they don't reciprocate emotionally, you stay at the level you started with. It's all about paying attention to the other person's cues and adjusting your level of vulnerability accordingly. This way, you don't overwhelm either yourself or the other person too quickly. It's a slow and steady process that helps you gauge how comfortable someone else is with emotional closeness before taking the relationship deeper. What makes this technique so effective is that it's inherently low risk. It allows you to build trust slowly and safely. You're not immediately exposing yourself to potential rejection or feeling vulnerable if the other person isn't as emotionally available. Instead, you're taking small, cautious steps that help you test the waters and adjust your emotional disclosures based on the other person's reactions. This way, you can develop intimacy at a pace that feels comfortable for both of you. At its core, Match+1 is all about vulnerability. We've all been there. You share something personal with someone, only to have them not reciprocate or pull away. That's a difficult experience, and it can lead us to feel rejected or misunderstood. It might even cause us to close off emotionally and become hesitant to open up to others in the future. This is exactly why Match+1 is such a powerful tool. It gives you the ability to test how much vulnerability is safe to share, making sure you don't go too deep, too soon. It helps you avoid that risk of emotional rejection while still allowing you to connect and build intimacy. Let's break it down with a simple example. Imagine you're having a conversation with someone, Perhaps a classmate you don't know all that well, but would like to get closer to. You begin with some light, non-personal conversation. Maybe something about a recent movie you both watched, or an opinion on a current event. For instance, you could say something like, "Ugh, I feel like these readings are taking forever to finish this week." It's a neutral, non-controversial comment. Then, you observe how they respond. Do they offer a similar response like, "Oh, I totally get that. I've been feeling the same way." Or do they just give a quick, "Yeah, I get it"? If they respond by sharing their own experience, then that's a sign that they're open to engaging at that level of vulnerability. You've matched them on that small level, so now it's safe to move the conversation forward. You might follow up by saying, "Yeah, I've been feeling really overwhelmed lately with everything going on. It's hard to balance school with everything else in my life." If they then respond with something like, "I know exactly what you mean. It feels like there's never enough time to do anything," then you've successfully opened up a deeper conversation. They're matching you on that emotional level, which means you can continue to share more if you feel comfortable. At this point, you're slowly building a connection. But what if their response is just a quick, "Yeah, me too," and they don't add anything else? In that case, it's a sign that you should stay at that level for a little while longer. You're not ready to go any deeper just yet, and that's perfectly fine. You're still building the connection, but you're not rushing it. As the conversation progresses, you might find that you're able to share more personal things about yourself, or they may open up more about their own experiences. Over time, you both become more comfortable sharing things that are a bit more intimate. For example, you might eventually talk about things like your goals, or even personal challenges. The key here is to match your level of vulnerability with theirs. If they're not opening up at the same level, don't push too hard. If they're matching your openness, then feel free to go a little deeper. This process of moving through deeper levels of intimacy doesn't happen all at once. It's gradual. Maybe next, you start talking about your hopes and dreams, or your thoughts on something more personal, like your relationship with family members. As long as the other person is reciprocating with their own openness, you continue deepening the connection. But if they're not responding in kind, it's time to pull back a little. Remember, the goal is not to overwhelm the other person or yourself, but to create a comfortable and safe space for both of you to share at your own pace. An interesting thing that happens as you continue to use Match+1 is that you start to gain a deeper understanding of your relationships with others. You may begin to notice patterns in how people respond to you emotionally. Perhaps with certain friends, you feel comfortable sharing almost anything, while with others, it feels like you're stuck at a certain level of disclosure. For example, you might realize that with your family, you tend to keep things at a surface level, while with close friends, you can share much deeper personal stories. You might also notice that with coworkers or acquaintances, you rarely move beyond casual conversation. Being aware of these patterns can be incredibly helpful. It allows you to assess how your relationships are unfolding. Are you getting the emotional reciprocity you need from others? If not, why is that? Is it because the other person is just not emotionally available? Or is it because you're not allowing yourself to open up fully? Reflecting on your relationships in this way can help you make more intentional choices about how you engage with others. If you notice that you're stuck at a certain level with someone, it might be helpful to ask yourself whether you're afraid of being vulnerable or whether the other person isn't responding as openly as you'd like. This insight can give you a better understanding of how to approach that relationship going forward. Here's a little exercise for you to try. Take some time to reflect on your relationships. Grab a notebook or open a note on your phone and think about the people you interact with regularly. Write down where you think each person stands on the intimacy spectrum. For example, with family members, are you comfortable sharing deep personal thoughts, or do you tend to stay on the surface? How about with friends or coworkers? Are there certain people with whom you connect more easily, or do you find it harder to open up with certain individuals? This exercise can give you some valuable insights into how your relationships are developing and where you might need to focus more attention. If you feel like you tend to overshare with certain people, challenge yourself to hold back a little and allow them to take the lead. On the other hand, if you tend to keep people at arm's length, try inching towards a deeper connection by sharing just a little bit more. I encourage you to experiment with Match+1 in your daily life. See how it affects the way you relate to others. Do you feel more connected to the people around you? Does this approach shift the way you think about vulnerability and emotional intimacy? I'd love to hear about your experiences with this technique. Have you tried it before? Or do you think it's something worth trying? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let me know how you've been using Match+1 to enhance your relationships. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you found this video helpful, and I'm excited for you to try this out in your own life. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.